This cable is really long, so it's Sunday. So that means it's update time. Oh, all right, so this is after my pull day, so I'm a little bit tired, but I have a few things I want to talk about, and one of them starts with my scriptwriter. So most recently, I decided to go ahead and just do things a little bit more differently now. And I got rid of my scriptwriter that I had since the beginning, which kind of sucks because she was the first one and I thought it would go ahead and work out. And even though she was doing good in the beginning, there were some things that just weren't really going well. I think I talked about it beforehand that my other scriptwriter that I got was a lot better. And so I made the ultimate decision to be like, hey, let me move her to shorts. And then afterwards, I'm like, hey, let me just take her out altogether. And so that's what happened. And so as of now, I only have that old scriptwriter from my voiceover guy. This might sound a little bit confusing, but as far as voiceovers goes, the voiceover guy that I had since the very beginning, I also let him go for voiceovers. I still wanted to go ahead and work with him because I had really good trust in him, and I know he can do a lot of stuff and work, and so I offered him something else, which was seeing if he can go ahead and do either scripts or video editing, because I know that's what he's done before too. And so as of now, he's currently writing one of my scripts, but I'll get to that in a sec. And as far as thumbnails, I already mentioned I'm the one doing my thumbnails now. And as far as video editing goes, same thing, I'm the one who's also going to be doing it, but I also have my old voiceover guy who is now my scriptwriter guy, and the other editor who was my old shorts editor, who is now doing the video editing. It's also worth noting that I have two other editors on standby that are working under him, and on top of that, I'm also working with another editor, but we still haven't started a project yet. There's a plane. It's cold. Now, as far as the actual channel goes, there's something interesting that happened earlier this week, and it was during some calls that I had. One of the calls was the group coaching session with Matt Parr. It was basically just to do another channel audit for it, and this time to look a little bit deeper into why it may not be growing as I thought it would. And one of the reasons might be because of my old DIY videos, just because those are the ones that got the majority of the views, those have the majority of the subscribers, and it's still currently getting views to this day. So every single new viewer that comes on to that Faceless channel came for the DIY stuff. It sucks because that means if they came for that stuff, then whenever they're recommended my space content, then they're probably not going to click it. And also it's worth noting that majority of that audience from that channel, from the DIY stuff, was also from India. So if they recommend English content, odds are if they don't speak English, then they're not going to watch it or click it. And so there was really a few options he mentioned. One of it was turning off those DIY videos and then just keep going with space, which will work in the long run, but because of what happened in the past with all that, it'll take a little bit longer. Second option was turn off all my space videos and keep going with DIY because I gained traction on that. And that was obviously a no because I knew I did not want to go back to DIY. It's fun. I like doing it. That's why I started it. And I didn't want to show my face in general. That's why I did that in 2019. But I know the RPMs for that kind of DIY stuff I was doing was super low. And I would just need a lot of views to get some more revenue there. So that was an option. The third option, which was what he would have done, would have been just restart the channel and just start over again from scratch. And that got me thinking. It got me a little bit, not upset, but more of, honestly, kind of relieved. Because before I was saying how I didn't really like space, although I did change the topics to do it something that's more interesting, but that was ultimately what I was leaning towards. And so a few days after that, I went ahead and had a one-on-one call with Jon Corres. I paid for that, just to talk to him, see his opinion on that too, and just, well, basically just learn from him because he's an awesome dude. Yeah, I definitely talked to him again, but he was basically saying the same thing for that might be a good option to go ahead and do, just because those views that I'm still getting on that channel, the views per hour that are still being generated on those DIY videos is going to be a drastic effect on the whole channel itself. And it's kind of funny because the reason I used that channel was as a shortcut. I didn't want to go ahead and start from scratch and start a whole new channel back when I started in June, because I figured that's going to take way too long. But honestly, the stuff that takes long is probably going to be worth it in the end. And so that's literally what I've decided to do. I've decided to start from scratch, hence why I got rid of my scriptwriter, hence why I got rid of my original voiceover, so he's not doing voiceovers anymore. So now it's restarting. I know what topics I want to do. I know the kind of things I want to do, and it has to do with stuff that I liked watching before, which was what I mentioned before, like Magnates Media, Jake Train, Sunny V2, Moon, How Many Works, a bunch of other ones, basically those kind of faceless styles where it's either about YouTubers, about education. It's a whole mix of things, but I just have to find a niche within it. But I have a few video topics that are new that people haven't done, and they do have to do with popular YouTubers. And I think that's what's going to go ahead and set it apart, because people are currently looking for those people. And so once I add a twist to it, it's going to go ahead and gain some traction. Maybe not at first, but over time, I know it's going to work out. I was trying to go ahead and write some of my own scripts for that video, and I was doing some research. And I'm gonna be honest, writing scripts is really hard because I'm trying to make it good. I'm trying to make it different, but this kind of goes against what I was saying before, which was just put out content just to put it out and then improve over time. So it's kind of hypocritical of me taking so much time there, but I think it's worth a shot to see what can happen because of that. And then also, I forgot to mention, what about shorts? So I've been posting a lot of shorts on that Space channel, obviously before I stopped it. And the kind of traction I was getting was a couple thousand views per video. There were some videos that got very little views, and I think that had to do because one of the videos had to do with sort of violence, which goes against, YouTube terms. You shouldn't do that, at least for monetization purposes. So I thought that could be the reason why those didn't gain traction. And then after that video, everything else was still custom, and views started getting, still more consistent on there. But what I've noticed, which is interesting, is that as more shorts have been posted on that channel, it seemed like that Space channel was slowly dying because less and less views were coming from the long form content. Obviously more were coming from shorts, but it didn't seem like it was working. And it would have still been too early to tell. This is just what I've noticed from those first few weeks. Doesn't mean that's what's always going to happen, but that's just what I've noticed on that. So yeah, that's basically about it. That's all I really wanted to say. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave it in the comments down below. And I'm gonna head inside because I'm cold.